What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over my predictions for UFC 318 Holloway versus Poirier 3 for the BMF belt. So let's get right into it. So starting down the bottom of the card, I just want to say I'm really excited for this card. I know a lot of people have been saying it's not that great of a card and it doesn't have the best fights on it, but I think a lot of people are underrating it. It's got a lot of good fighters on it, a lot of good prospects to look out for, and some veterans on it as well. So let's jump right into the bottom of the card. These women fight, I don't know either of these people. Bruno Ferreira, I'm pretty sure I remember. I don't know who. And Jackson McVeigh, I believe that's how you say his name. I heard some memes about him. How he's I don't really know, he's a prisoner or something. I'm not too sure. He's probably done something in the past, but I don't know. Ryan Spann versus this guy. I haven't heard of him. A lot of these fighters I've heard of, and they're fighting people I haven't heard of, which is kind of weird. But Ryan Spann fighting this guy from Poland. Ryan Spann, I'm pretty sure he's on the losing streak. Yep. I don't think he's going to win, but I mean, I don't know this guy, so I wouldn't bet on this fight if you're listening to this video. Jimmy Crute versus another guy from Poland. I know Jimmy Crute. I'm pretty sure he's got good boxing, if I remember. He's got really good hands. But I remember he got gassed in his last fight and it went to a draw. I believe, yeah, draw. So, I mean, I don't know. I could probably see him winning this fight. He came from the Dana White Contender Series, if I remember. He's fighting out of Australia. And he actually had, like, a mental depression, I believe, at some point in his career. But he regained the motivation to start fighting again. So, good on him for that. Moving up the card to the... I think this would be called a featured early pre-om. I'm not too sure, actually. Islam Dulatov versus Adam Fujit. I don't know. I haven't heard of Adam Fujit, but I've seen the edits of Islam Dulatov. Used to be a model and then got in the Dana White Contender Series. I guess I'll go with Islam Dulatov, but I mean, I don't know really anything about these guys. I don't really know a lot of these really low down prelim fight night fighters or just low down fighters. I don't really know who they are, but yeah, I'll go with Islam Dulatov for this one. And then Ateb Gautier, I've heard of him, versus Robert Valentine. I think I've heard of him, but I don't remember anything about him. Gautier's got a lot of power, and I'm just going to choose him to win this fight since he's on a pretty good win streak, if I believe. I don't really remember what it is. I think maybe it might be one. I forget if he's coming off the Contender Series. I know he fought once against a Mexican guy, but I'm not too sure. I don't really like him, but yeah, I think he's going to win this fight. Moving up, I actually haven't heard of either of these guys. And then moving on to the good fights in this card. I'm really excited for a lot of these fights. Starting off, number 10th ranked Marvin Vettori versus number 11th ranked Brendan Allen. There's no odds for this fight out yet, so I don't really have anything to go off of, actually, because I mean, Marvin Vettori's washed. Brendan Allen has really good grappling, but he's just not the best fighter. I think he'll jump to the top of his division a little bit later, but I think he's got some time that he needs to grow and gain experience as a fighter. He was a little bit higher ranked and he fell back. But I think Brendan Allen will probably out-grapple Marvin Vettori to a decision, but Marvin Vettori is just so big, so I don't really know. This fight could go either way, but I'm just going to throw out a pick out there and say Brendan Allen. Moving up the card, Kyler Phillips, number 12th ranked, versus Vinicius Oliveira, number 15th ranked. I'm actually a very big Vinicius Oliveira fan. I don't know if I'm even saying his name right, but I'm a fan of his. And Kyler Phillips, I know a lot of people don't like him, but I mean, he's an okay fighter. Anyone that's in the top 15 and nonetheless in the UFC, you kind of have to be somewhat of a decent fighter. So Kyler Phillips, I don't really remember his style, but Vinicius Oliveira, I think I'm going to favor him in this matchup. He broke his rib in his last fight, so hopefully that's not still affecting him in this one. But, yeah, that covers my picks for the prelims. So moving on to the main card, I'm filming this a day later. So, yeah. Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. Michael Johnson's a very well-seasoned veteran. Fought Dustin, fought Gaethje, fought a lot of the people at the top. I think he might have fought RDA, I'm not too sure. But I saw his win against, I forget his last opponent. Pretty sure it was some sort of Arab guy. I forget. But, yeah, and Daniel Zellhuber, he's coming off of a loss to Esteban Ribovics, I'm pretty sure, at UFC 306. He hasn't fought in a long time, if I remember. He might have fought before that. I'm not too sure, but yeah, he took a lot of damage. That was an absolute war. So in this fight, I don't know. I kind of want to go with Michael Johnson. As they say, fastest hands in the Wild West. I'm pretty sure he's from Iowa or Missouri or somewhere around there. But he's a pretty decent, he's a moderate underdog. And Daniel Zellhuber just being the younger guy. I mean, I could definitely see Daniel Zellhuber taking it just because of his, he's probably quicker, and he's probably, I would probably choose Daniel Zellhuber if I'm being realistic, but this is kind of going to be one of my wild card picks at this fight night. I'm going to go with Michael Johnson over Daniel Zellhuber. I wouldn't really bet on it, but I mean, I could see Michael Johnson winning this with his experience. Just really making this fight dirty. And getting getting Daniel Zellhuber hurt. I mean, but Michael Johnson's taking a lot of damage. He's probably a bit shinny. I haven't really seen much of his fights recently other than the last one, which was a crazy knockout. So Michael Johnson might be having a second prime, but I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, being that he's pretty old already. He says he thinks he might be having a second prime, but I mean, that's what he thinks. That's what all fighters want to think when they're starting to get old. But, yeah, moving up the card, Dan Ige, number 11th ranked versus Patricio Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull coming over a pretty lackluster performance against Yair Rodriguez in UFC 314, which was his debut in the UFC. He's coming over from Bellator, I believe. And Dan Ige, I'm a pretty big fan of Dan Ige. He beat Sean Woodson last. His fight before that, I believe, was, let me think, Lerone Murphy at UFC 308, which he lost. And the fight before that was at UFC 303. He filled in on 3 or 4 hours notice. Made weight at 165 and fought Diego Lopez because Brian Ortega pulled out the morning before and was sick. So Dan Ige filled in, and he fought the fight. He won the last round. I'm pretty sure it was a pretty dominant last round as well. And you could clearly see the tide was turning for Ige. He's got a lot of power for a featherweight. He's a good boxer. But yeah, I just think in a lot of fights he doesn't throw enough. I think Patricio's way to win this is to really get him down, get Dan Ige down with his wrestling. But Patricio's old, and I don't think he'll be able to do that. I think Dan's just going to be the better fighter in this fight. So I'm going to take Dan Ige, possibly by a knockout, but I don't see Patricio going down like that. I think it's going to be somewhat of a 29-28 decision for Dan Ige. I think he's going to probably hurt Patricio maybe once or twice, possibly. And maybe even Patricio goes down. But, I mean, I think Patricio's really only way to win this fight is to get it to the ground. And I don't think he'll be able to do that. But if he does, I think he'll more than likely dominate. But we'll see what happens in this fight. I don't really know too much about Patricio's style because I've never really watched Bellator or PFL. I mean, I've watched the big fights, Francis Ngannou, Paul Hughes, Usman Nurmagomedov. But other than that, I really just watch UFC. But moving up the card to the featured fight, Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now, I think this may be one of the fights why this fight is one of the reasons why people are saying this card is a bit lackluster. You know, Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez as a featured fight, Paul Costa and Roman Kopylov as a co-main event. These aren't good quality fights, but I mean, there's a lot of these are like mid-tier fights in my opinion, but there's a lot of them on this card, which really just makes this card a good one for me. I mean, I don't expect anything insane, even though I may have made it sound like that's my perspective in the past based off of how I've treated fight night cards in my other prediction videos. But yeah, given my prediction for this fight, I think Kevin Holland is probably going to beat Daniel Rodriguez. I've seen Daniel Rodriguez win or fight a lot of times, but I just don't remember how he went. I don't remember who he fights, and I don't remember his. I don't know how I don't remember his style. But a lot of the fights I see of him, I'm like kind of in and out on my phone, you know, getting something to drink. But Kevin Holland, decent on the ground, good on the feet. It's crazy to me how he's able to change up his style based off how the fight goes, and he tries to beat his opponent in what they do best. JDM, he tried to beat him in the boxing, he couldn't. Beat Luque in the submission with his own Darce. That's Luque's go-to submission to Darce. They call him the Darce Knight, and Kevin Holland beat him by Darce, if I remember correctly. Daniel Rodriguez, I don't think he's going to win this fight. The odds aren't out, so I don't really have anything to go off of, but I'm going to say Kevin Holland for this one based off of his kind of comeback arc, I would say, in the rankings. The UFC's kind of catering to him. He got one win over Gunnar Nelson, and then all of a sudden he gets an immediate shot back in the rankings against the washed old Luque. I thought Luque was going to win that fight, but I mean, he didn't. He was doing decent up until the moment Kevin submitted him. But yeah, I'll choose Kevin Holland in this fight. I'm a decent fan of Kevin Holland. I used to be a bigger fan, but after the 45-70 incident, I kind of fell off. He's a bit of a cornball now, but whatever. Number 13th ranked Paul Costa versus number 14 ranked Roman Kopylov in middleweight for the co-main event of UFC 318. Dang, man. I was a pretty good fan of Paul Costa. The last time he fought was all the way in UFC 302. The last time Dustin fought. That's crazy to me. Paul Costa, he fell off after the Izzy fight. He took so much damage in that fight. I don't know how. Like, I know he took a lot of damage. I know why he took a lot of damage, because Izzy was good. But I just don't know, like, to me, a lot of fighters get knocked out and their durability somewhat stays with them. Paul Costa, he just got demolished in every fight he's had since then. He started missing weight, and we've seen in the press conference he was tweaking out. He couldn't even sit still for one moment. So I don't know what's going on with him. I kind of feel bad for the dude, but I mean, this is what MMA fighters sign up for, and hopefully he's able to make some changes in his life to get back up on the right track. Maybe, I want to say, win this fight, get some momentum going, but he's lost what, 5? He's like 5-1 or something, 4-1 in his last 5. I don't know. I know he's just on a pretty bad losing streak. He hasn't won since the Izzy fight, if I remember correctly. He, yeah, if I were him, I would actually probably go up to light heavyweight. He's a really big middleweight. He's got a lot of muscle. He used to be a bodybuilder, and his cardio isn't that good. So, I mean, I would like to see him probably go up to light heavyweight, but at the same time, those guys are just so big. I think there's a chance he would get demolished up there too. So I want to see Paul Costa maybe just leave the UFC and get signed by a weaker promotion that doesn't have as good as fighters, not as skilled, and maybe he could get some wins over there. But I mean, he's still decently young. We got to remember, he's like 33, 34. I don't know his exact age, but I mean, he could still have a run left, but I don't think he does. And looking over at Roman Kopylov, I'm pretty sure he's like 34. The 34-year-old prospect. That's the joke about him. I don't know. He's always had this weird like curly hair. Never understood that. He's from Russia. I don't expect people from Russia to have curly hair, but he does. I'm gonna probably take Roman Kopylov. He's got really good striking. Paulo Costa's got I know his basic jiu-jitsu, but he's more of a striker nowadays. He's just not the same fighter he used to be when he was on that good run. But if we look back, the good run he had against people wasn't even against good fighters. So I mean, Paulo Costa was a bit overrated, and he didn't fight as skilled fighters that there are now. But I mean, he's still in this generation of fighters. He's only 33. So, I mean, I think he could probably take this if he really puts the pressure on. Just don't be scared to strike with him. He's got to probably make this dirty. But I feel like that's where Roman really strives in these fights. Or thrives. That's the word. And I mean, Roman Kopylov, I saw the head kick against Chris Curtis. I think if he can land something like that on Paulo Costa, Paulo could probably go out. I mean, he's a bit chinny ever since the Izzy loss. So, I mean, I'm going to go with Roman Kopylov, but I could see Paulo Costa. I don't know if that's just my heart telling me that, but, I mean, I wouldn't count out Paulo Costa, but, I mean, I wouldn't really bet on him. And moving up not finally, to the main card, BMF champion Max Holloway versus number 6 ranked Dustin Poirier. His last fight, the last dance. Really sad. He was my first favorite fighter. He was my first fighter I ever watched. The first card I ever watched. He was the main event. I'm sad to see him go. He was my first favorite fighter. I'm really sad because I mean, represents America, United States. Man, I don't want to see him go, but Max, at the same time, I don't really want to see him lose, but I'm a much bigger fan of Dustin than I am of Max. I really got on the Max hate train. What's it called? When I was a big fan of Ilya in UFC 308, and since Ilya really didn't like Max, I kind of just stuck with the hate against Max. But I mean, he's a cool guy. He's a good guy in my opinion. He's the BMF champ. I saw that Dustin was a plus 105 underdog, but I mean, the odds keep changing, I suppose. This fight has already happened 2 times before this. This is the trilogy. Dustin Poirier is 2-0. Once in 2011, I believe. I'm not sure if that was the year. And then I think it was once in 2019, maybe 2020. I think it was 2019. That's when they fought. The second time was for an interim title. The first time, it was Max Holloway's first fight. And now this last time, it's Dustin Poirier's last fight. So it's kind of poetic how this trilogy is spanned out. What I want to say is I want to see if Max Holloway can go 6-0 in trilogies. That would be crazy in my mind. 6-0 in trilogies. But I mean, Dustin Poirier, he hasn't had many rematches, I don't think. Yeah, just the Conor rematch, the Conor trilogy, and he pretty much came out on top of that. But I mean, if it was a prime Conor, I think Conor would probably win. He would have made it a lot more difficult for Dustin. And I mean, maybe 2021 Conor was a prime Conor, but we don't know. He got into drugs and all that stuff. It was just horrible for his character development, personal development, and it really destroyed him. I don't know if he was doing it during 2021 when he was fighting Dustin in that doing the trilogy, the final 2 trilogy fights against Dustin then. But I mean, I think those fights should have been for the title, being that Habib had just retired at that time. And then they gave it to Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira. But we're getting off track. Dustin Poirier got the crisp boxing. Max Holloway, he's got the cumulative boxing. Meaning, he doesn't hit hard, but he's got good cardio. And he really just tries to land strikes in volume. his last fight, he got knocked out to Ilia Topuria. That was his first time he ever got knocked out. Before that, he was the #1 fighter to take the most significant strikes in the UFC without getting knocked out. With that being said, we really don't know how. I can't give a dominant pick of how I think this fight is going to go, prediction of how this fight's going to go, because we don't know what Max's chin is going to look like after that fight, being that he's gotten, he could have got, being that he got knocked out for the first time, and we know after fighters that never got knocked out, once they get knocked out, they're never really the same. But Max might be different. I believe this is going to be a war. I don't think Dustin is going to be able to take him out early. I don't think I would rather say Max hurts him earlier, but I don't think Dustin is just going to be a quitter. I don't want to say Anthony Smith and those people were quitters, but I feel like they were they left the octagon before the fight even started. They weren't mentally there. They didn't want to be in the cage. Dustin Poirier, I think he's going to be there. He's going to be ready to brawl. I think this is going to possibly be a 5-round war. My prediction is going to be Dustin Poirier. I don't want to say KO. I don't want to say TKO. But, I want to say Dustin Poirier is going to get a finish. Right now, if this goes to 5 rounds, I wouldn't be that surprised. But, I kind of see someone getting finished here. I see why Max would be the favorite, being that he's had some good performance recently other than the Ilia Topuria, and he was putting on a good fight against Ilia. Even though Ilia was up on the scorecards, he was still putting up a good fight. It was competitive. And Max Holloway, he's just a good fighter all over. This weight cut to lightweight seems a lot better than him. He's not really draining himself as much. And that's probably why his cardio in the second fight was so good. He really took over in the 3rd and 4th round. Dustin had to wiggle his way back in the 5th round to take the interim belt from Max. And not take it, but gain it. Be the one that got it. I think I'm going to go with Dustin. Yep, but I want to say if I were betting, I would say this goes to decision, but if I were being risky, throwing out a wild card, I would say Dustin maybe finishes him between the 3rd and 5th round, knockout maybe a guillotine in the 4th or 5th round. That would be really poetic. 3 fights, Max Holloway loses. He's 6-0 in trilogies, and then Dustin Poirier gets the guillotine. That would be crazy. The first fight ended in submission. It was a arm bar that was also a triangle. Second fight ended in decision. That was a war though. And third fight, we don't know. But Dustin says he's expecting stitches. He's expecting a war. So I would say that's probably going to be true here. Max isn't a quitter. Dustin isn't a quitter. Dustin's a dog. Max is a dog. These are 2 warriors going at it. So I'm going to say Dustin's going to win this. But, you never know. Max could put on a masterclass. I see people saying that Max is going to absolutely dominate him. I'm saying it's not going to be a domination. Maybe I'll be wrong. But, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong sometimes. Losing a prediction doesn't negatively affect me in any way. So, that's my predictions for UFC 318, Holloway versus Poirier 3. I'm really sad Dustin's retiring, but he's 36. Hopefully he's got a good retirement ahead of him. I hope he has a good life and he's able to enjoy it without the constant pressure of MMA and UFC on his back. And thank you guys so much for watching. That was my prediction for UFC 318, Holloway vs. Poirier 3. I'll see you guys in the next one.